A live look at the Capitol today. Lawmakers are set to formally confirm President-elect Joe Biden as the winner of the 2020 presidential election. Scripps reporter Joe St. George joins us live from Washington, D.C. to answer our questions. Good morning, Joe. Scripps, a number of top GOP senators and congressmen say they're going to challenge the electoral vote, but today it's really not unheard of to do that. I mean, this kind of posturing in the past was done by Democrats against Bush and Trump in the past years, wasn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a really important point. What Republicans are doing today has happened before in our nation's history. I think the best example would be 2005, and that's when Senator Kerry was running against President George W. Bush. President Bush, of course, won the election of 2004. And in 2005, one Democratic senator, Democratic member of the House, they objected to George W. Bush's win. The big difference, though, between that time and this time is that Senator Kerry was like, don't do this. I don't want to object to this. Meanwhile, here in 2021, President Trump very much wants Republicans to stage a coup, if you will, at the Capitol today.
We'll see what happens. 4 years ago, the Republicans managed to take the House, the Senate, and the White House. You know what? I don't recall them having that much luck in getting things passed in the first 2 years. So what challenges lie ahead for the Democrats?
You know, I think that's a really great question because if you flip around the cable news channels today, you'll see Democrats this, Democrats that. But the reality is that politics is difficult. And even though if you look at the numbers out of Georgia this morning, Democrats seem to be on the cusp of controlling the United States Senate, they will still have to get 50 votes plus the vice president of the United States, who would be Kamala Harris, breaking that tie-breaking vote. And there's one senator in particular. If you haven't heard of him yet, you will over the course of the next 2 years. His name's Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia. He's a moderate Democrat, and he's already said that he's not going to vote for some of these big progressive ideas such as, major climate change legislation or D.C. statehood or ending the filibuster. So for the next 2 years, if these numbers hold in Georgia, the big question in D.C., well, what does Joe think? And they won't be talking about Joe Biden. They'll be talking about Senator Joe Manchin.
Interesting. Well, in the meantime, tell me how the presidential transition mechanism is going there in Washington.
Well, I will say this. I mean, it is the President-elect Joe Biden is not receiving many favors from President Donald Trump. If, however, this was a different Democrat, let's say a governor being elected or a U.S. senator being elected, it would no doubt create more challenges for President-elect Joe Biden. But because he was vice president of the United States for 8 years, because he's very much a creature of Washington, D.C., being in the United States Senate for decades, I mean, he knows what the presidency does. He knows where the bathrooms are, if you will, in the West Wing, and he's prepared for what is going to take when he takes over January 20th.
What about inauguration plans, though? We hear they're going to be largely virtual.
It will, and it's going to look very different for folks watching at home. I know a lot of people maybe in Vegas make it a tradition every 4 years on January 20th to watch the parade and the crowds. President-elect Biden has said to his supporters, don't come to D.C. Members of Congress are only allowed to invite one person to the inauguration. There will be a very brief parade that no one is being asked to attend. It's going to be virtual. There will be some virtual balls happening as well. Maybe we'll get a presidential dance in the evening, but it's going to be a different year. We're in the middle of a pandemic, and President-elect Biden is looking to send a very different message when he takes the oath of office on January 20th.
Joe, we always appreciate your perspective from the nation's capital. Thank you so much for your answers today. Have a good day.